Today on the Winning with Shopify podcast.
For a direct consumer business, so 100% online only, I think the landscape has shifted massively.
We don't know they're coming from Meta. Some of them we do, some of them we don't. But it's working. Like something has shifted and something's
Just
changed.
because Google Analytics was easy 2 years ago, we used to be like, oh, last click, that's true, that's accurate.
Google doesn't hate AI, but think logically, why would Google not like the idea of AI-driven content? Because Google doesn't want a content farm. It wants really well thought out content. Our partners at Seguno have released a brand new app for Shopify, and it's called Shopify Connect for Canva. You can essentially look at all of your product images from Shopify directly in Canva and export them straight back. This can save you a lot of time. If you want to find out a bit more about this or go and find the app yourself, you can go to seguno.com/Canva. Enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Winning with Shopify podcast. It's so good to have you guys tuning in. Couple of quick shout outs, which I did shout out either last week or the week before. It depends what order they're posting some of our content each week. But if you want to come on as a guest, if you're a brand, you've got a really good story to tell, then please do reach out. We've had some incredible brands reach out since we announced that. Again, either 1 or 2 weeks ago, depending on how things lined up in the content. And also, if you're interested in sponsoring, partnering, getting involved in the show, do reach out to us as well. We have a few slots coming up in the next few months, which we're hoping to fill. So come and get in touch. But without further ado, I have an absolute legend of e-commerce back on the show. He's been on a couple of times before, but Janis, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. And Janis, you've been on the show twice before. If no one's caught you, I mean, their loss. You've got so much to share, so many great insights. You're also on our community growth hub. You're really active in there, helping everyone from sort of small little micro businesses to chatting about stuff that some of the guys in the group are like, I have no idea what's going on, but this is really interesting. Tell us a bit about the business you work for, your role, and also how you got there as well. I think it's quite a cool part of your story.
Yeah, so I work for a direct consumer brand called Look Fabulous Forever. We're a beauty brand for older women. But by older women, I don't mean what the rest of the beauty industry does, which is literally someone over 25. Our customers are women post-menopause, so our customers are typically in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. I started there, God, nearly 5 years ago, originally running marketing and e-commerce from both a commercial and technical perspective, and now I'm managing director there.
Amazing. I love your journey as well, because you obviously have shown so much insight and willingness to learn and adapt to get to where you are now. But I also love the way you talk about your audience, because a lot of brands will say like, oh, we work with younger or older demographics, whereas you actually defining it going, actually, it's counter the industry, massive part of your story, obviously. Now, I was joking, for everyone listening, I was joking with Janis just before we started going, hey, Janis, I've got 5 things we're going to talk about today, but there could be 50 million things that we could talk about. And we could go on any sort of tangents. My job today is to stop us going on too many tangents. We're going to start off with this one, because I think you're going to have some really interesting stuff to share on this. And I'm quite keen to see what's been evolving at your end. July 23 is when you last came on. What has been changing across the e-commerce landscape that you've seen at conferences, in your business, in publications, all the kind of digital things you're involved in? What have you seen change over the last just under 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a direct consumer business, so 100% online only, I think the landscape has shifted massively. You've got, really advantage plus shopping and performance max bedding in. You've got
Mhm.
AI, you've got chat GPT, you've particularly the stuff that chat GPT have just released around imagery. Like
Yep.
the game is completely different. And particularly when
Mm.
you put that against a backdrop of what has changed from an analytics and tracking perspective, that how
Mm.
we look at success is also completely different. And I think businesses who are doing it well have recognized that actually there was a lot of things that we used to measure because they were easy to measure, not because they were actually useful or accurate or helpful. We always had a situation where if you asked Google, if you asked Meta, if you ask your
Mm.
email platform how much revenue we're generating, all of them would tell you that they're generating 90% of your revenue. And that was
Or over
never,
100 in some situations,
yeah,
yeah.
that was never true. That was never true. And just because Google Analytics was easy 2 years ago, we used to be like, oh, last click, that's true, that's
Yeah.
accurate. And it never was. And
Mm.
I think smart businesses have taken it as an opportunity to look at things differently. Whereas I think a lot of businesses have got stuck trying to get the same data that they used to get. But if you just, like I've said, particularly on the forum before, I think attribution is complete
Yeah.
rubbish
It's in my notes.
because
Yeah.
ultimately your customer, and particularly if you're doing it well, that you're actually building a relationship with a customer that you want to keep long term, not someone
Hmm.
who sees you on Google Shopping once, clicks on your product, and then can't even remember who you are.
Yep.
If you're doing it properly and you're building a relationship, then that customer is going to have dozens, if not hundreds, of touch points on the journey to purchase. And actually, if you're getting really bogged down in the detail of is that one touch point 1% or 2% of the journey, which you can never truly know what's going in that customer's head. Even the customer doesn't know what's going on in their head. So
Hmm.
I think fundamentally, if you take a step back and think about how does this work from a holistic perspective, and
Yep.
what role should paid ads pay, should organic content pay, should video pay, should email play, all of those things, if you're looking at how they work in concert together to provide an experience for your
Hmm.
customer, I think ultimately you're going to have more success. So I think good brands have taken it as a shake up in a
Hmm.
positive way to look at how they do things, whereas a lot of brands have struggled because they're just trying to replicate the reporting that they used to do.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you've hit the attribution button immediately. I love that. There's one thing I love about Janice, everyone, is she won't beat around the bush. She'll go, this is the issue right now. You're absolutely right. We've done campaigns where we've boosted like Facebook ads, and Facebook like last click attribution in GA4 has not changed. And it's like, that's been a waste of time. It's like, have you seen what's happened on Google? Have you seen how many more email subscribers we've got that are buying products? Like, we don't know they're coming from Meta. Some of them we do, some of them we don't, but it's working. Like something has shifted and something's changed. I think as well, I love what you say about actually looking holistically at the touch points and saying, what content should we put out on YouTube on display? How much of our budget should we attribute to that? And I mean, the ultimate thing is no one ever really knows, but you start changing some of these things and you see what happens to bottom line. Um, One of the most frustrating things we find as a ad agency doing SEO and PPC is the direct channel on GA4. We're like, just reveal yourself. Tell us all your secrets. Where did you all come from? And one of my clients, interestingly, they've done a post purchase survey and they put like, where did we come from? And my first response to this was actually to say something like, don't do that. There's much more valuable information we should be learning. And they were like, yeah, but have you seen what that says versus, because someone who's coming to the site 3 times direct will still say, I found you on Google, which means originally they found us on Google. And that is the most important piece of information, is they found us on Google. Google's really important to us. And so I love what you're saying about the attribution is changed. It's forced retailers to rethink things. How do you think, and it's a slightly loaded question because I have a lot to say on this. I'm going to ask you first. How do you think that changes the dynamic then between the people that look at the data to try and make decisions and the people that come up with something crazy but creative that actually does execute and do something quite powerful but wasn't planned? It was like, we're just testing, we're just working with some ideas here in terms of creatives or USPs.
Yeah, I think both of those things are like really, really important. And I think for us, I think particularly the way that Meta works now with Advantage Plus shopping, the fact that you can have
Mm.
up to 150 creatives in an ad set means that why wouldn't you launch new creatives and just see what happens?
Yeah.
There's no harm. Back in the day when you could only have 5 or 6 creatives, then it was a big risk. Whereas now we typically launch at least 3 new creative concepts a week, and some of them have been like wild bets that you think, oh, that will never work, that have been like wildly successful. And in that old
Yeah.
environment, we never would have tried them. And I think one of the things that we've bought in this year that's been really helpful is kind of trying to mash data analytics and creativity together. So one of the things that
Mm.
we do is we once a month we bring all the different parts of our marketing team together, and they do a debrief on what happened in their area the last
Mm.
month. What worked, what didn't work, what are they going to do differently? And it's not just that they're reporting out numbers and
Yeah, yeah.
results, but they're talking about the what was it about that particular execution that
Mm.
worked or didn't work. And because they're sharing that data, and because it's a collaborative ideas session, it's been great. It's been that different people have learned from other people and taken on their perspectives. And so it's both a very analytical and numbers based
Yep.
thing, but also an incredibly creative meeting.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that, the power of that. You've said most of what I was going to say. I'm going to add one more thing that, yeah, I hear a lot of marketing people on podcasts talking about. And the more I hear it, the more I'm seeing it firsthand. And it is that almost like argument between the FD going, why am I approving this check? Like, there's no proof this is going to work. And then some creative somewhere who's got the guts to stand up to the FD and actually say to them, well, do you know what? All the things that work right now were accidents, beautiful accidents. So actually, we need to work out a way of funding accidents as much as we can because we'll find new things. We try 10 things and one works. You know something that works. And if you didn't try the 10, you don't know what works. Have you? I mean, this is again, I think, a really interesting question to ask you on this. And I've asked some clients this recently. Have you found some really wacky things where someone's gone, we're going to try this, and everyone's gone, cool, we can add that to the pile of doesn't work, and actually it's come back and gone, why did that work? Like it shouldn't have worked, and it has worked really powerfully. You must have found some of those through these creative learning sessions.
Yeah, so one of the things that would like it still like blows my mind that this is incredibly successful. So we have a number of different Meta is our primary kind of acquisition, like hard acquisition channel.
Mm,
YouTube is really really important, but that's predominantly organic. So Meta is our like hard acquisition channel, but because we
mm,
have so many creatives and because we have so many new creatives, we're like, let's just throw that in and find out. So we've got a number of kind of campaigns with different objectives.
yep.
So this is a sales conversion objective campaign that we put a creative in that was we were working with a partner and it was like enter this competition to win £100 of stuff from our partner and £100 from us. So this ad directs to a competition landing page. There's
Hmm.
no, there's no product, there's like win something from us.
Yeah, yeah.
We run that with a sales conversion objective and it's
Mm.
wildly successful. Plus we
I remember
get
you
all
telling us
the
about this.
yeah,
Yeah.
we get all the lead gen for free on top of what would work. So it's just like we would
Yeah.
never have tried that because it would be like, yeah, sure, you'd run it as a lead gen campaign, but you wouldn't run it with a sales conversion
Mm.
perspective. And it's like, well, why not? Give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We've also done a thing. I think I shared this the other day as well in the group. Like we do this with brand campaigns now, is we often put them on target impression share on Google, and we find our click costs. Like I've just got case studies coming out of my ears that help us win pitches because we're like, we'll do this for you as well. It only works about a third of the time on non-brand campaigns. A brand campaign is someone literally typing your name into Google, guys, and finding you. But I think our best one's like over 90% reduction in click costs. Your ROI goes through the roof, and suddenly the conversation of like, oh, how much should we spend on brand? Should we bid on our own brand name? Are they going to click on our SEO? It all goes out the window because you're just like, well, just do it. It's like 8p a click, like crack on. Like, I don't want to lose them at the last minute. And we don't have some companies we work with, they do actually have an agreement with all their competitors saying we won't bid on each other. And that is really powerful until a John Lewis or Amazon come along or Walmart and just go like, well, we're bidding on this. It's like, right, well, that agreement's gone out the window. We all need to start bidding on our own names again. And Google wins and no one else, unfortunately. Um, One thing you've not mentioned, which I mean, you mentioned very briefly earlier, and you know what I'm going to say is AI. Where's AI not working for your business, and where is it working at the moment? Like, how much are you guys like, really invested in AI tools, content creation, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I think the number one place that AI is brilliant for us and, is about to get even better is imagery. That
Yeah, yeah,
particularly you can take a flat product shot and hey, now you don't even need to take a flat product shot. You can just take a picture on your phone, um,
yeah,
and you can turn that into a lifestyle image.
mm,
That for us, the both the time that it would have taken to set up that shot, to use a location, to get all the
yeah, yeah,
props, all of those things, the cost of doing that, the creativity that it unlocks, all of those things. From an image point of view, we are lucky that we have both a very strong brand, that we're very clear what our brand stands for, and we have a very strong culture, which means I can completely trust my team because I know they would never do something that I would be uncomfortable with,
Mm.
like use AI to generate a picture of a woman or a woman's skin. Particularly, I saw
Yeah,
an
yeah.
example on LinkedIn last week that somebody was like, "Oh, show me a picture of a 51-year-old man," and I was like, that dude is 75 if he's a day.
Mm.
So the
Yeah, yeah.
ageism that is baked into AI imagery is really, really problematic.
Mm.
But our team know that they would never do anything like that, and that would be inauthentic. But for product
Yeah.
lifestyle shots, 100%.
Mm, absolutely. I really agree with that because the actual product itself you've shot, which is the powerful thing. And we've seen brands do 360s of products. And then by changing the background, they actually just put a video behind it, but the AI blends it in nicely without changing the product itself. We did call out a design agency recently. They'd done the like wireframes and images and stuff for a website. And we said, did you use AI to do these images? No, 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 of course not. You know, we've got these ourselves or they're royalty free or whatever. It's like, that basketball player there's got 6 fingers. Where's that other finger come from? And then it was like, oh, and this lady, she's got like one and a bit ears on her head. Are you sure you're putting these like blurry AI images on there? And the guy was like, I need to go and give my team a kick up the backside. So I'll be back in a minute. It's like, okay. But it was just I think, as you say, that AI, humans are so complicated. Trying to recreate a human without basing it on a human, I think it's very, very difficult. And it probably will get there at some point. I tell you one thing we've been using it for is we used to use Photoshop and Canva to like remove backgrounds on images,
Mm.
especially when we want to see the white background image shots. The AI on Canva now, the background image remover is AI, and it's fantastic. It used to be you just have to go scrub it up a little bit or change one thing, or you'd put it up somewhere, and someone would go, "Oh, hang on a minute, there's a random green dot next to the tire of that car. What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's the grass the car was on initially." um, so like, but it's got much much better. And the other thing you can do as well with the AI is you can get that shot and then tell the AI, can you sharpen up this image for me? Because then, like you were saying earlier about the human, you're not asking the AI to create someone or create anything. You're just asking it to go where there's currently a slightly blurred line in the pixels, increase the pixel count to make the line completely smooth to the eye, which is really, really cool. Um, let's change the game slightly now. And so we're talking about the future and stuff and where we are at the moment and the things going on. But how much of that, or how much have you guys found that reflects on your customer? Like how much have your customer expectations changed, customer journeys changed over that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've really seen is that the way that we've always approached business, it's kind of everything's kind of aligning with that approach. So we've always been about useful and helpful content. That's been at the heart of everything that we
Mm,
do, which is now where Google's algorithm is
yeah.
increasingly focused. So from an SEO perspective, we spent a huge amount last year that we like completely accidentally saw massive improvements in our SEO just because we were doing the right thing. And suddenly we're
Hmm.
like, oh, we've never really thought that much about SEO. Maybe if we do a little bit better. And the gains we saw on it were absolutely, absolutely huge.
Because you had that helpful content in the first place.
Exactly, exactly. And
Amazing.
just like we worked with a digital PR agency to get us like a few high value links to some very specific pieces of content. And again,
Mm,
that just really, really helped us. And we saw our search rankings just fly with the result of just adding a little bit of extra seasoning to the quality
yeah, yeah.
of the work that we were doing anyway. And the same with Advantage Plus shopping, because every one of our products is designed with a very specific use case in mind. And you might suffer from that
Mm,
particular issue or you might not. So the fact that the
yeah.
algorithm can think about, oh, I'm going to show you this, it's thinking about, oh, to what extent should I be showing you stories? Should I be showing
Yeah.
you tutorials? Should I be showing you product information? Because we're doing all these different things, the fact that the meta algorithm is now leaning into that really, really helps us. So I think we've seen it's not necessarily the way we're doing things or what our customers expect from us, but almost the technology has been catching up with the things that we've always been trying to do.
Which is really cool. And someone said to me the other day, and I get this a lot, obviously working in the SEO world. They said Google just keeps changing, doesn't it? How do you keep on top of it? I'm like, one thing has not changed about Google, and that is what they want. And you're exactly right about helpful content. Google wants the best website for that user at number one. That's never changed. Tech's changed, like phones came out and people could now scroll on their phones. We've had their AI changes, and like, even somebody a couple of days ago said during a pitch we were doing, do you guys use AI? Because I've heard Google hates AI and we use it for articles a little bit. So I was like, Google doesn't hate AI, but think logically, why would Google not like the idea of AI driven content? Because Google doesn't want a content farm. It wants really well thought out content. So if you say to an AI, can you spruce up this article for me? Or can you write me an article using these three facts that we're going to release? Write me an article on that. And then you tweak it a little bit and you train that GBT agent, I think they're called. I'm never one with down with the kids. Like when blockchain and stuff and Bitcoin came out, I had no idea what any of these things were initially. But I think it's a GBT agent you call it. So we basically train one of those little things at the top left on Chat GBT to go learn this client, learn their tone of voice, learn what we like, what we don't like, and we tell it stuff. We tell it we don't like that word being used. So please never use that word again in here. Or if you do use it, please add a note to it to say, I know you don't like this word, but I think it works really well here. And so you're almost asking the AI to think harder and get more focused into what you want. So Google doesn't hate AI content. It hates the idea of someone just going 1,000 articles about snakes, please. And it's my only phobia. I don't know why I chose that, and 1,000 articles about snakes because you sell products for snakes or something. And it's just, that whole process. But I guess you guys have obviously got a huge bank of content, but going back to the holistic, that's built on you guys knowing your customers and actually setting out to go, there is no makeup for women over a certain age. We're going to fill that space. Do you ever find that in your warehouse you have dead stock? You can't sell it, no one wants to buy it, and you can't get a refund on it. Or alternatively, you're missing inventory in your warehouse that you need. You've got sales coming in and you're low on stock and you haven't ordered more stock in time. All these things hit profit. And I've been there. I've run my own Shopify store and had exactly that problem. But we've partnered it up with Inventory Planner, who have the most incredible app to help you manage that and forecast exactly what products, what SKUs, even down to what color of product you need to order in advance to make sure stock levels remain consistent throughout. They're also running a 7-day boot camp. And if you want to go and sign up to that, it's 7 emails over 7 days. And it takes the same amount of time as your morning coffee. And in 7 days, like me, you can become an inventory management pro. Both links are in the description.
Absolutely. It's funny actually because the thing that we've struggled most with AI is writing stuff because there isn't enough content about what we do and our target audience for it to write in a helpful way.
Yeah.
So, kind of that is interesting in and of itself. But yeah, I think it comes down to our customers. And I think one of the things that we do, which is really helpful, is we do a quarterly customer survey to our customers. We have two questions we always ask them. One is there any content of ours that they found particularly useful? And the
Mm-hmm.
second is there any content they want to see from us in future? And while we do get ideas from it, and it is worth doing from that point of view, actually the most helpful thing is the fact that the same things keep coming up. And it's very
That's
easy
cool.
for us to think, oh, we need to always do so much new content. Whereas actually, a lot
Mm,
of it is like, actually, how do we surface the really great content we've got already on this
yeah.
topic that we clearly don't talk about enough because our customers are still asking for it?
I heard a client a while ago say, like, I still can't believe that people don't know this, and this about our product. And I was just sitting there like, like, do you not see the opportunity? Like what you can do with that? People still don't know. Well, get out there. You've already answered the question. Tell them. Get that in front of people. And if people keep forgetting, turn that to your good. Like that means you keep reminding them. You keep reminding people why they need to do this thing. Someone the other day is sitting in the pub, and it all kind of hammered home on this kind of topic where he said like, yeah, I'm trying this new diet, and I kind of half thought, all right, go on then. What we doing now? And it was like just another kind of health regime. And it's like, I'm going to drink loads of water. I'm going to stop eating lots of sugar and red meat. I was like, didn't you know any of that before that you paid this nutrition for this new diet plan? And he was like, well, yeah. But I was like, so what you actually paid for was the impetus of somebody to force you to do it because you still don't have that level of self control, like me and everybody else. But at least I'm not trying to like every day be like, I'm going on a new diet. I'm like, I know what's good for me, I know what's not, and I try and keep it in balance. Is kind of where I feel happy, and everyone else can decide on that scale where happiness is for them. But I think sometimes, yeah, when brands sort of say like, oh, what we're going to write about now, and you say like thinking of new ideas, AI is quite good for brainstorming.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not a technically politically correct term anymore, but for coming up with ideas, so AI is good at coming up with ideas and sort of say like, and we use it a lot with the podcast. We use ChatGPT 4, I think it is, or 4.6, so it can see the internet. And we say, go on YouTube and tell us what are the most watched videos globally on YouTube relating to Shopify in the last week, in the last month. And it's like, how long would that take me? Like
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours. And I get the answer in like 10 seconds. It thinks about it and then it comes back going, these are the top viewed videos that had Shopify in the titles. It's like, cool, this thing's trending. Let's do an episode on that. And it just saves so much time for what we're trying to do. But if we look forwards, Janice, there's some things going on at the moment. At the time of posting this, we'll be over a week into liberation world, as Trump's calling it. I'm trying not to say his name too much because otherwise these get marked as political and nobody sees them. These episodes, but obviously tariffs and things are
Mm.
happening. There's a lot of uncertainty here in the UK at the moment about a lot of things globally. Like there's the climate kind of crisis or whatever you want to call it going on, as the media are calling it. What are some of the challenges that you're facing as a business right now? Like, are some of them those kind of big macro things, or actually they're more kind of niche things like I just can't find a tool that does this?
All of the above. I mean,
Okay.
our second biggest market outside the UK is the US. So
Mm,
I'm personally skeptical about an administration that wants to get rid of everyone who does any kind of admin work, and the US Postal Service, and anyone who knows how to
mm,
do anything, and then wants to
yeah.
implement tariffs on top of that. It's like, well, who and how are you going to do that? So
Mm,
yes, I'm a little personally skeptical about that. But
mm,
as a business point of view, it's like, well, how much do we invest in the US right now, particularly because YouTube is so
yeah.
big for us? So particularly our
Mm,
YouTube channel, our primary viewer is going to be in the US. Um, from a sustainability perspective, we've been working probably for about 18 months on refillable compacts, and just launched
nice.
those
Yeah, yeah.
in the last couple of months. And that's really an exciting innovation for us. That again, it comes back to, why is this a better experience for our customer? And we got a lot of feedback from our customers like, oh, we want to go plastic free, kind of all of this stuff. And we said, actually, the better experience is a refillable compact, something that you can keep
Mm,
and replace. And then it's also cheaper for you, because next time you keep the
yeah.
compact and you just buy a refill, and kind of all of those things. So we try to not just be like, oh, we're greenwashing this, we're slapping on a,
Mm,
we've taken all the
yeah,
plastic
yeah.
out of our product. It's like, well, no, but this is actually a better experience for everybody. And yeah, I think we've got some we've always had this kind of culture of experimentation, and we like to, as you said earlier, just try some new things. And some of them work and some of them don't. And I've
Mm,
just had one new thing that we've tried that somebody else in e-commerce recommended to me, and we've just had our first test on it go live yesterday, and it's been wildly successful. So I'm like, oh my
nice.
god. Or I say,
Yeah, yeah.
when we get something that works, it's like, oh yeah, let's lean into this. So there are loads of
Mm,
opportunities for us. It's just keep trying that thing, because it's that balance between growth and profitability. Like, what is more important? Because you can't have both.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And I find it interesting with some of the tech stuff we're playing with. I don't know if you find this with some things, but when we do something that's going back to like Google's motto, best website number one, when we do something that's really basic and simple and very like, this is a good offering to our customers, like it always like dwarfs all these kind of like, oh, we're using AI on our chat now, and actually it's got rid of 5% of customer issues. It's like, that's not a lot, is it? But actually, if we go back to basic marketing, go, why did they have the issue in the first place? What content could we put in to answer those questions on the page, but structure it in a way that's nicely designed? So it's like the most important thing at the top, and then loads of nice to haves. I'm getting a good deal and getting a good offer from this company, even if it doesn't have a struck out price and a discount price next to it. But we're certainly finding that it's almost like companies, I think, are too quick to jump on tech bandwagons and go, like if you see an advert for like a Shopify app or a Magento plugin, I know you guys will see a Magento plugin, a Shopify app that says like, brands are swearing by this thing and all the stats are saying 50% more revenue and stuff. It's like, well, the question really is how. Is it like, oh, it coincided with them launching something none of their competitors have? It's like, must have been the piece of tech, nothing to do with the new product range. And so I think it's important to stay grounded with some of this stuff. But as you say, you didn't say we'd dive in two footed. You said we're leaning gradually into those new things. Um, I'm going to go on a slight tangent now from what the next question was going to be, because you've mentioned several times about talking to customers and customer feedback, and it's so important. We've been with our ad copy, especially, and also with website copy, reading customer reviews, and actually, we did an exercise the other day using ChatGPT. We said, look at all the Trustpilot reviews for us and tally up what are the biggest topics that come up again and again and again that are positive sentiment towards the business. Everyone talked about free delivery. We looked on the site, wasn't one of their top 3 USPs. You barely even found out unless you opened the delivery kind of accordion to see it in there, or when you reach the cart, it was a lovely extra. So like, add to carts and then to starting checkout was a big drop off. Once you start checkout, it was a really smooth journey through there. But it was like finding out just basic things like that. So you guys, I remember from last time, you send emails quite a lot to your customers, don't you? And you also send out feedback surveys. Talk us through that conversation that you're having with customers constantly.
Yeah, so there are a lot of things that we do that I think because it's so important to us. And I think we're quite lucky that a significant proportion of the team are not our target audience. So I think
Mm,
it kind of almost forces us to use data rather than assumptions, which is a good thing.
yeah.
So yeah, we have a formal quarterly customer survey that goes out to everyone who's bought from us in the last 3 months. And that tends to be a combination of benchmarking things. So we'll ask them, do they know about our returns policy? Do they know about free
Hmm.
delivery? Kind of all of those things. So are we communicating those things? We always ask them about new products. What are they looking for in this new product? What qualities do they need it to have? How much are they willing to pay for it? Are they interested in purchasing this kind of product? And what do they need to know about it before they decide to buy? So we're not
Mm,
making any expensive NPD mistakes because we're formulating the product in the way that the customer wants it. We know whether we can make it at a price that they're interested in that makes enough
mm,
margin for us to be worthwhile. There's enough demand
yeah.
for it, even what the launch campaign will look like, because we know what objections we have to overcome.
Yeah, yeah.
So we ask them all that stuff. We have a private Facebook group, a community where our customers probably talk about our product maybe like 2% of the time.
Mm,
98% they're talking about what's going on in their lives, their holidays, their grandchildren, and we really get an insight into who they are beyond their transactional relationship with us. We have
yeah,
the
yeah.
most amazing customer services team that when issues start coming up, they'll be straight on and say, oh, there might be a problem with this particular thing on the website, or customers are having this issue with this product, or,
Hmm.
all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
these things. But the idea is we've got lots and lots of things going on at the same time, and we use that data to make decisions.
Yeah, yeah, and I've always been really jealous of that conversation you have with customers because I wish more of our clients and people we work with had that. We find it so often that like spoiler alert for everyone listening. I was going to do a big episode on this in a couple of months. I'm about to go on paternity leave, everyone, so I'm going to be very tired soon. Once I'm back, I was going to do an episode on this. We're launching basically a CRO offering, but we're calling it Growth Lab because we don't believe it's about conversion rate, it's about revenue, and a whole range of other things. One of the biggest things we've found with that though is we've slightly jokingly we're offering 3 services with it, and the first one, and this is where there's a slight joke in it, is we say service one is free. And it's you can keep doing things blind and do it without the right data, and you'll probably take 2 steps forwards, 1 step back instead of 3 steps forward. You can do that, and that's free, and we can offer you that today. There's not even a contract; you can just crack on. And there's no. Also, I think we put on it like there's no notice period on this either. You can keep doing this. But I love the conversation that you're having with customers all the time, so that you're not doing things blind. So you must still have the nuances of customers. If you ask the wrong question, you'll get the wrong answer. It's like, would you love it if we offered this kind of product? Yeah, I would. And you, because you've, as you said about objections, you don't realize actually it's too expensive. The thing was massive that would last them like 3 years, and that's too big. So people that were receiving it were like, I'm never going to use all of that. Just return it, and I'll buy a smaller one. Um, so I think going through all those rejections and having that conversation and asking the right questions, because you guys have done this so frequently, you must have got so much experience in asking the right questions to your customers and entertaining the right kind of conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are certain things, particularly about why people do the things that they do and how they
Mm,
behave. If you asked our
yeah.
customers how frequently they think they buy from us, they would be wildly incorrect. So I
Yeah,
think
that's hilarious.
I think there's a,
Yeah.
it's knowing what you can ask and you're going to get a useful
Mm,
response to, and what you're not. And particularly with the NPD, take it with a we take it with a pinch of salt that you could look at two products, and
mm,
80% of customers can say they're interested in one, and 85 will say they're interested in the other, and those two will perform wildly differently. But
yeah.
if only 5% of your customers are interested, there is absolutely no point having that, like, even having that out the gate. And there are things like, when
Mm,
we were a couple of years ago, one of the things our customers kept asking for was an age spot treatment. And when we asked
yeah, yeah.
about it, the thing that they came back with and said was most important was actual reviews and proof that it worked. So, because that was so important, we said this isn't something we can just go into production with. We need to produce a prototype and we need to trial it, because it
Yep.
all hinges on the reviews. And
Mm,
when we produced it, it wasn't a huge amount. I think it was about 5% of the people who trialed it had problems, that it essentially sort of slightly burnt their skin.
okay.
And we said, just, there is no way that we can launch this product with that level of side effects. So
Yeah, yeah.
all of this kind of taught us, we went, kind of quite far into that process, but because we knew what was important to customers, it saved us from making what would have been a much more expensive mistake.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's all come out of that conversation to find out what should we test in the first place. And when we did test it, this was the outcome. And I guess to ask a really kind of direct question on that particular situation where it was burning customer skin, how honest were you then back to everybody to say, look, we've tried this, it didn't work, and actually we really care about you, so we're not going to launch it? Or and you find if you don't want to answer this question, but did you just kind of keep it quiet and say we're not going to talk about
No,
it at
with
all?
that one, because particularly because we have our community and the testers were from our
Mm.
community. So we had publicly
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
"Do you want to
Got to be
join this
honest. Yeah,
test? What have you?" And then we did say, "Look, this isn't going ahead. It didn't work."
yeah,
But it
yeah.
wasn't like,
Absolutely.
oh, an announcement on our website or in our email, or anything like
Mm.
that. It was just the people who'd been involved, and particularly communicating directly to the people who had been involved in the trial and been very happy with the product, being like, "Look, you know."
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Which it's got to be the best way to go, and I think that's why Trustpilot and things are so effective when you test them on conversion rates. Is people trust things that are trustworthy, hence the name of Trustpilot. Um, Cool. Last topic then. That was a massive tangent we went on, which I think was really, really, really fruitful. But last topic, you mentioned YouTube earlier, and I've got it in my notes. Most brands that have tried YouTube, I'm going to take a punt and say, have utterly failed. It's not worked. They've got some really, really good impressions and views and stuff, and people have kind of heard who they are. They've dipped their toes in, not spent enough, not done enough production, looked slightly bad. And then 5 years later, an SEO person like us comes and goes, what's all this on YouTube? And they're like, oh, we tried that, it failed. And it's like, well, it's still there, and you're linking to it on your header of your homepage. Like, get rid of it. You guys are quite effective on YouTube. Talk me through the strategy of how you harness what is seemingly someone just kind of enjoying their afternoon on YouTube, watching videos or looking for a solution to a problem, and suddenly you're converting that into a new customer and kickstarting that conversation with a new customer as well.
Yeah, I mean, that has changed massively for us in, I would say, probably the last year. That
Mm,
we've always said YouTube is important. And I think particularly when I joined the company, one of the things I did was I had a conversation with our, like, a handful of our really high value customers, and
mm,
talked to them about how did they discover us in the first place and all of those. And they all said to me, YouTube videos were both a really crucial part in their decision to buy from us, but they continue to be a crucial part of why they continue to buy from us
mm,
today. So from my point of view, I've always said, look, YouTube content is very important. And it kind of just went along like that for a long time. And yeah, then about a year ago, I actually listened to a really interesting podcast with a woman called Louise Knight, and she talked about the value of YouTube SEO. And it was like,
Yeah, yeah.
we've never thought about YouTube SEO. We do all this stuff on
It's a
YouTube,
big search engine.
but
Yeah.
yeah. And a we've done a big project around YouTube SEO and thinking about SEO from a YouTube perspective. But one of
Mm,
the other things that came out of it was that actually about two-thirds to three-quarters of our YouTube traffic comes from Google search. So
mm.
it's not search within YouTube, it's
I was
somebody
going to say this.
searching
Yeah.
for a problem in Google that then finds our YouTube video, which again
Mm,
really changed the way that we thought about YouTube content. And the
mm,
other massively useful exercise that we did last year, and again, it's like, I can't believe we never did this before. We
mm,
looked and we got two lists. We got our highest performing landing pages, and the content on those, and we got our highest performing YouTube videos, and we cross checked those. And the
mm.
number of gaps that we had, oh, we've got this really successful landing page that
Oh,
we've never made
interesting.
video
Yeah, yeah.
content around
Yeah.
that topic, or we've got this really engaging YouTube video that isn't on our website. So like just cross checking those things has been a massively useful exercise. And I think last year we actually, particularly on our website, as part of this SEO exercise, culled a lot of our content.
Mm,
And so I think now our YouTube strategy is less about volume and much more about quality. It's like, where is the gap? What is this video addressing that we have not talked about before, or not addressed adequately before, or there's still a lot of demand for us to talk about
mm.
in a different way? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
doing that rather than just let's make content.
It is. I can. You can see the fear in the owner or the finance director's face, and it's like, we're gonna make some content. It's like, oh no, like what an expensive thing I'm gonna have to like either pull the plug on or just let it happen. But I think the I love that you're looking at those gaps, because actually, if you optimize where you're ranking on Google with a video, if you optimize on content, you've now got two positions on Google, and they're going to two completely different domains, but you're still the focus of attention, which is awesome. I think I mentioned to you on one of our round tables we did as well about the promotions within YouTube. I don't know if you've been playing with those, but we've had so much success with them both for podcast. Some of our clients, it feels like Google free shopping back in the day, and it feels like it's not going to last forever. So we're just trying to get as many subscribers and email subscribers as we possibly can while it's working. But I certainly think YouTube is obviously a very powerful platform, and lots of people use it. A friend of mine runs a whacker plate hiring business. If anyone doesn't know what a whacker plate is, when you've got like stones loose on your drive, you can use a whacker plate, and it basically shakes them all and moves them down to make a flat surface. All quite fun. And he did a video about how to put fuel, because a lot of them run on petrol, how to put fuel in a whacker plate, how to use it, and how to store it safely. And if you want to hire one, check out our website. And he basically went viral about 2 weeks later, which is hilarious. He's now got a business doing all kinds of hiring stuff. But another friend of mine also ironically made a whacker plate video a few days ago, and I keep telling him, my friend Charles, put it up on YouTube. Trust me, I've seen this before. This is really powerful. But I think you guys as well, like makeup tutorials and stuff, and how to apply foundation when you're in your 50s or your 60s, or as you say, or in your 30s. I think is a really, really powerful piece of content. Um, I said last question, very, very last question, Janis, because I can't let a guest leave without asking this. It's been amazing having you on. Lots of people will be like, Janis, you sound like an absolute legend and a guru of information, which she is, guys. How can people reach out to you? How can they follow Look Fabulous Forever? How can they find you, get in touch, etc.?
Yeah, best place to find me is on LinkedIn, Janis Thomas. I'm always on there, always talking about
You
something.
are.
Obviously, in your community,
Yeah.
really, and Look Fabulous Forever. We are lookfabulousforever.com, and you can find us on YouTube as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Janis. I really appreciate your time. And on a Friday afternoon in the sun as well, when you could be outside. So, yeah, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.